Hey there everyone, this will be the final and yet quick video for 2024, and it's just going to cover some of the cosmetic changes that I've made, but I have made a ton of code fixes, and I'm not going to go through them on this video, but I will put them in the description. So without further ado, let's get into it. All right, so no changes here. It's within the editor itself. So we'll just click on and edit this particular view. And if you haven't already noticed, I've made a lot of changes in the properties panel. And there's a couple of reasons for this. One, it was just getting cluttered. But the primary reason is really kind of gearing up for supporting multiple languages. And therefore, I wanted to allow myself extra room for the various languages for these labels here, okay? So, so essentially, labels on the left, values on the right, which also falls in line with Windows 11 with its settings and whatnot. So I've kind of borrowed the same kind of appearance as you would find in Windows 11. So I've made some of the elements, or sorry, some of the properties just slightly larger, like the toggle buttons, for example, checkboxes, just a little bit larger, just so that they're a lot easier to read. And now with the toggle switches, it will actually say whether or not it's a no, yes, or off, on, these kind of values here. Change the coloration of descriptive text. Now, some of the other visual tweaks I've made here on the properties panel are, let's go down to here, for example, effects. So there used to be an icon over the right-hand side. It was a circular icon with like someone on the phone, like an assist icon. Well, those are gone, replaced with a settings icon right next to the property grouping heading. So in this case, effect, and there'll be another one for animate. Okay. So again, I've shifted to the left. But it performs the same function. It just looks different, and the placement is obviously very different as well. All right. Now, the other icon that you're starting to see, this is a condition icon. And I believe before I had a button that said condition, and then it would have very kind of wordy text underneath it saying that there are conditions for this. That's gone away and replaced with a single icon that will change color depending on whether it has no conditions, conditions, or conditions in error. Okay. And so let's see if I can grab an example here. This one. Yeah, this one. Okay, so what we have here, we have this ellipse, and it has layout condition, color condition, and visibility condition. So if I just click layout condition, it's saying change to essentially remap its location and size and whatnot to this element here if this condition is true. Text is 1. All right, and I believe that's text 1. Is it text 1 or text 2? Let me just double check that. Text 2. It's looking at UI element text 2. All right. Now, again, the same is true if you single click on the L badge, it will position to remap layout like so, and you can see it's blue, so it has conditions, and even the hint text will indicate that there's one or more conditions for this property. Okay. Single click on the C badge, which is for colors. It will position to the first color it finds in the property list with conditions. And as you can see, I've got multiple colors here with conditions. Yep, yep, and yep. Okay. And last is visibility. And obviously, if there was animation, there would be an animation badge in here too, but we've got one down there. All right. So by clicking on the V, it will position to visibility conditioning. All right. The only change I've made here is single click on the color badge. It will position. It wasn't doing that before, so I've added that. But so as you can see, these are linked to this text field, this text UI element here. Watch what happens when I delete it. Okay, so the badges now say, hey, I've got an error with the layout condition. I've got an error with the color condition. All right. So again, if I click on what would have been the layout condition, here it is here, it's in red. And we've also got a color condition that's in error as well. If I scroll down, and there you go. And it's highlighting the UI element in error. Text 2 doesn't exist. If I click on the drop down, you will not find that element in the list because I physically deleted it. All right. I can just do Control Z, brings everything back, and no errors. Okay, so just to recap, your assist icons that used to be over on the top right of each grouping panel, that's gone and replaced with a settings icon, which is now right next to the grouping name. In this case, effect or animation or animate. And then with anything that has conditions on it, they will be represented with a icon, this conditions icon, and white means no conditions, blue means it has conditions, one or more conditions, and red means, hey, I've got some conditions, but they're in error, okay? And they'll also be indicated up here, which hasn't changed. That's always been the case, all right? So those are some of the visual tweaks here. And it doesn't end there. So if I come out, and I'm going to hop back to the other theme. What was it? Oh, it was Mega Theme. And if I just go into Text Games View and edit, and we have, oh, actually, if I click on here, the details panel, and disable the animation, just so that, there you go. So we have custom conditions. That's nothing new. But I double clicked on the animation definition there. And again, I've made the same user interface changes to the animation editor as well. Okay. So now, you know, as you kind of add some of this stuff, you can actually scroll up and down through the properties. It doesn't look as cluttered as it did before. It's evenly spaced. It's, you know, lined up kind of more in line with Windows 11. And again, giving me room to allow the label headings to be modified into whatever language is supported and whatever language you ultimately select for the Community Theme Creator down the road when I've got all that logic in place. Okay. So yeah, I was really just kind of paving the way for multi-language. And like I said, in doing so, it's cleaned up the interface, and in this case, on this properties panel, the performance has been improved. So, for example, if I just simply click on these UI elements here, as you can see, the properties panel is being loaded or refreshed with the appropriate values very, very quickly. And that was not the case in version 3.2.5. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to prove that one more time. There was a good, yeah, this one. This has an awful lot of UI elements in it. So much so it takes a bit just to generate the code. Okay, so I'm going to edit. All right. So as you can see here with the list, we have a mega amount of UI elements that are on this view. Okay. So if I just unlock all these, so for example, just by clicking any one of these, it's refreshing this portion of the properties panel very, very quickly. Okay. So if you don't have as many UI elements as this particular theme does, it's going to be super snappy, but it's already quick, even with this amount of elements on a view. Okay. All right. And again, you know, it will position. We've got a lot of layout remap conditioning going on here. A lot of visibility conditioning. And I don't know if color conditioning was used, maybe, maybe not. But regardless, anyway, like I said, performance is a lot better now. Let's see. I mean, these are some of the major things that you will come across. And then if I switch to my test theme, and I believe it's this view, I'm just trying to remember. It's one of these wheel items. Is it this one? I'm trying to remember. Let's apply it and see what it gives us. No. I've added a new metadata field, and I'll add it here. I'll add it here. So it's a text field, and it's metadata, and it's this one here, selected item index offset. Okay, so let's change the color and let's drop it to the bottom. Let's change the font size. Okay. All right, it shows 0 and it will always show 0 here. Let's go back to the view. Okay, so selected item index offset, it shows you the current, the selected wheel item. It will always be represented with a 0, and then anything left of it or above it and anything to the right of it or below it will be represented with a positive value. So this is 2 items away from the selected, and this is -2 items away from selected. Okay, all right, and there's a reason for that, and although I haven't coded for it, but I've at least kind of paving the way for future modifications to Community Theme Creator, is to allow rotation effect values to be altered based on this value here. I tried doing it using animations. It won't let me. But if I can use effect conditioning, which is obviously not enabled at this point, but whenever I get that in there, you should technically be able to represent the wheel in a slightly curved way. It's not going to be perfect, but you know, if you wanted to represent the outer items slightly rotated, and then this item here and this item here to be rotated even further kind of away from your viewpoint, you can certainly do it. All right. But like I said, right now, you can get the value, and you know, you can do some kind of basic stuff with it, but I'll be making some software enhancements in the future to allow a little bit more flexibility and leverage this value for, you know, for other stuff. Okay, but I just wanted to let you know, because you'll probably come across it and say, what the hell is selected item index used for? Well, now you know, or at least now you understand one of the use cases that you could use this for. Okay, and that is pretty much it. The DLL behind the scenes has been upgraded to build 149, just if you're curious, and that is always listed on the About panel, so you can always see the current DLLs applied to this version of CTC. All right, and like I said, there's been a fairly significant list of bugs that have been addressed in this build, and I'm not going to go through them, but they will certainly be listed in the description for the video. Okay, that pretty much concludes the video. Hopefully that didn't take too long, but I wanted to kind of get this out and get it into your hands before Christmas at the very least. All right. So if I am able to kind of edit this video tomorrow and get this build out onto Patreon Christmas Eve, well, then that's fantastic. All right. So with that said, have yourselves a very safe and a very happy, merry Christmas. And if I don't put another video out before year's end, which I highly doubt at this point, have yourself a very happy new year and all the very best for 2025. Okay.